Hey everyone, welcome back to 996. The Howl. Utah wins 5-4 in their first ever shootout win over the top team in the East, the Washington Capitals. My heart is still beating. This is why we watch hockey. The theatrics, the entertainment value of this game. It might rival the Super Bowl later on today. And if you're one of your favorite football teams is in the Super Bowl and you're a fan of the Utah Hockey Club, I don't know how your heart is going to make it today. What an unbelievable high blood pressure type of game for the Utah Hockey Club. Before we get into the game lineups, Michelli comes out, O'Brien comes in, and unfortunately, Kolyachonok was claimed off waivers by the Pittsburgh Penguins, so he is out of the organization. Good wishes to him with the Penguins. Let's get into this game. A minute 10 in. This early start for Utah, the time start didn't affect them at all compared to Carolina, where it took them a while to get their legs going. They didn't really get it going until second period and the third period in Carolina, where they had a great third period, 21 shots, getting momentum, all the offensive zone pressure. They built on that third period here in the first period against Washington. Josh Stone scores from McBain and Connor Ingram. I mean, just saying his name, this game was so long, like what, 3.5 hours, that I forgot Connor Ingram started this game. But Josh Stone enters the zone with the puck, holds on to it, maintains possession, and just randomly throws it from the top of the blue line. And it goes in. Krause providing some commotion in front of the goaltender, but ultimately Doan just catching the goaltender by surprise, making 1-0. And then the next shift after, again, Utah scores. It's Carcone from Gunther and DeSimone. I almost forgot who number 57 is. Great stuff by Gunther here. It was a great passing play to enter the zone. Like, Utah was entering Washington's zone with confidence, urgency, with a purpose. They would hold on to the puck, find the trailer, make passing plays. Everyone thought Gunther was going to shoot that puck, including myself, and he goes for the fake shot pass to Carcone, who has his stick in the crease to make it 2-0. Great, unbelievable start by Utah. But unfortunately, they get into some penalty trouble in the first period. 2 penalties, which were pretty brutal. They're trips in the offensive zone, just errant sticks hitting the skates of the Capitals. The first one taken by Oli Mata in the offensive zone. Washington scores on it to make it 2-1. Utah tries to get their momentum back, and they do. They're playing the same way as they were before going down 2-1, but they get another penalty. This time it was Stenlund tripping a player on the offensive blue line. Capitals come back, and before they score to make their second goal of the game, I missed McBain's goal. McBain scored after the 2-1 deficit to regain the 2-goal lead. It's McBain from Kesselring and Doan. Again, another great passing play between Kesselring and McBain. A nice 2-on-1 tic-tac-toe type of play to enter the zone with possession, use the passing of the pucks north to gain speed, and McBain's able to get past to Washington D to score to make it 3-1, and then they go back on the penalty kill where Washington makes it 3-2. And on this goal on the power play for Washington, Connor Ingram gets injured. He takes a full force slap shot from the greatest goal scorer ever in the NHL, Alex Ovechkin. Just a slap shot at the hash marks right in front of Ingram. A clean shot. Hits him in the mask. There's a rebound. Ingram tries to recover, but ultimately they score on that rebound. Ingram leaves the game for good due to that just unbelievable hard slap shot to the mask. So Utah is down 3-2, and Washington hits the post later on in that first period, but at least Utah escapes that first period with the lead, a 3-2 lead. Washington is the best 5-on-5 team in the league in terms of goals. They have the most scored 5-on-5. So for me, to allow 2 power play goals off penalties that were avoidable, offensive zone tripping penalties, you knew Washington wasn't going to go away. Like, they score a lot 5-on-5, and you just gave them 2 freebies. So Utah was going to have to work harder. This team wasn't going to go away. So they go into the second up 3-2. They're outshot 15-9 in that first period. And early on in the second period, Schmaltz springs Keller on a nice sort of breakaway. It gets saved, and then the third line comes out of Krause, McBain, and Doan. They generate momentum, and they draw a penalty. And then on the power play, Schmaltz hits the post, and Dylan Guenther scores. I tweeted out a stat earlier this week. When Dylan Guenther scores, Utah is 12-0-1. They haven't lost in regulation in a game where Guenther scores, and tonight they made it pretty close, but that stat goes to 13-0-1. A great one-timer by Dylan Guenther and great power play, passing play by Sergachev and Keller. Keller gets a primary assist there. That's Dylan Guenther's 20th goal of the season to make it 4-2 Utah. For me, I needed Utah to hold on to this lead. There was 2 times in the first period where they got the lead and Washington striked back fast. Thankfully, Utah sort of settled the game down, and Washington wasn't really able to generate much momentum after going down 4-2. There was a nice, huge Vejmelka save on a one-timer in tight. Vejmelka had a great game coming in relief of Ingram, who got injured. For a goalie who played yesterday and probably was thinking he wasn't going to touch the ice today, he comes in and does a great job in relief. He was solid and ultimately was one of the reasons why Utah managed to get 2 points out of this one. I like the end of the second period, Utah's play. They kept pushing and attacking Washington consistently. They outshot Washington 11-10 in the second, and then we go into the third period. They're up by 2 goals. I knew Washington wasn't going to go away. For me, I didn't want Utah to commit an early goal against, and I wanted them to be more disciplined. They got one of those right. They didn't take any penalties in the third, but 5 minutes in, Washington makes it 4-3. You felt it coming. Utah was bending a lot, sort of breaking. They broke twice, 5 minutes in, and a minute and a half left in the third, Washington scores. But Utah was fighting off the pressure of Washington. The crowd was into it. They got those noise air horns going on, and just those red jerseys kept coming in waves in the offensive zone, and Utah was getting overwhelmed. I feel like they only had really one good chance in this third period. It was Nick Schmaltz finding Kesselring down the wing. He had an open net and he hits the post. Just my heart was racing this whole third period. Just a lot of nervous energy, and like I said, Washington scores, pulling their goalie. A minute and a half left in the third. No defenseman picks up the stick by Tom Wilson in the crease, the most dangerous part of the net. Ovechkin fakes the shot. Everyone thinks he's shooting, even Vejmelka. To me, Vejmelka maybe should have been a bit more centered in his crease, but he overcommitted on the shot, and the whole Utah defense did as well, as everyone was focused, puck watching Ovechkin, and leaves the Capitals player alone in the crease. So Washington makes it 4-4. We go into overtime. They outshot Utah 15-7 in that third period. So I'm clenching in this overtime. Utah had a pretty good overtime. They traded possession with Washington, but ultimately the Capitals had the best chance of overtime. 6 seconds left. Jacob Chikrin, the former Coyote, on a sort of 2-on-1. He has a good look at the puck and the net, just shoots it on net, and Vejmelka has to make a desperate leg pad save in the dying seconds of overtime to take this to a shootout where Vejmelka goes perfect. He makes 3 out of 3 saves. And some trivia for you, the first ever shootout goal by Utah is scored by Nick Schmaltz, and it's the lone goal in the shootout, and they win 5-4. An unbelievable game by Utah. My expectation for this weekend, win one of the two. Sure, yesterday was a big blowout loss. They showed glimpses of being a competitive team. I love their third period, and they did build on that momentum. So that's what I was trying to say last video. They played well in that third. 21 shots in that period was nothing to sniff at, and it kind of skyrocketed and pushed them, gave them that momentum for this Washington game. They're on a break for 2 weeks. It's a Four Nations face-off. I got some interesting, fun videos with the whiteboard in the next 2 weeks. And for me, this was a statement game for Utah. They're not going to go away quietly in the wild card race. These are 2 huge points. They're in the race. We'll have a video on the wild card race maybe Monday or Tuesday, and we'll see if Utah really does deserve to be in that wild card position. And hopefully they get healthy coming back. They for sure will have Dursey in the lineup. He's been practicing with the team. He joined the team on the road trip. Cooley, another 2 weeks to heal up. Maybe he gets back in the lineup at full health with that extra time off. We saw what happened with Gunther. He came into the lineup 100%, and he just changes the offensive makeup of this team. And we really missed Gunther for 12 games. Cooley coming back could inject another element to this team. Dursey as well. I mean, you're looking at like a solid decor for the first time ever for Utah, where Marino's healthy, Sergachev's healthy, and Dursey is healthy. It has never happened yet this season. So that's it for me. We could take 2 weeks off. Even for players, like they could go into 2 weeks of feeling so good about themselves after that huge win against Washington. If they got blown out or it was a bad game, they had to sit with that for 2 weeks. So just another mental game for Utah. Maybe that takes them through the break and they come out of the break with even more hunger and energy because they know they're right there and they're meeting the expectation of playing competitive hockey down the stretch. We're going to enter March and they're going to be battling for a wild card spot. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.